Almost all movies and television are what I call a third-person medium. The audience is a third-person, non-participating, non-involved voyeur who is watching something else happen. They watch somebody kill somebody else, someone kiss someone else, someone chase someone else, someone discover something. It started, way back around the turn of the century with the first motion pictures. A language emerged that you could change the camera angle and people would go with a cut. If you cut from this angle to that angle, or to a close-up, people would intuitively understand that that's what they were supposed to be looking at. And that became a cinematic language that I would call third person, because the presence of the camera is not acknowledged. It's not happening directly to the audience. I was 23 years old when I started working with Stanley Kubrick. I was a science fiction buff, and my art portfolio was filled with spaceships and alien planets, and so that got me a job working for Stanley Kubrick on 2001. Kubrick is making this movie, and he felt a responsibility to create a kind of epic, like How the West Was Won or Lawrence of Arabia. And so he started moving away from the normal conventions of melodrama and stripping away a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the story and even a lot of the plot in exchange for this immersive experience for the audience to feel like they were on this voyage with the cast and they were actually going into space, not just the characters. Some transition through time and space in the Stargate, for instance. The thing that anybody would do was an over-the-shoulder shot of Keir Dullea in the foreground of the Stargate out the window, or a shot over the shoulder of the pod moving through the Stargate, or a reverse angle in the Stargate of the pod approaching the camera. Those are all the standard shots any director would put into a movie. Kubrick realized that they forced the audience out of the movie. He said, I'm not going to use those shots at all. I'm going to stay with the point of view. So the audience becomes Keir Dullea. The audience is going on this adventure themselves. That was his conscious decision to do that. And so things start happening directly to the audience. It's a direct line of sight point of view throughout 17 minutes of uninterrupted visual effects at the end of 2001. That's where Kubrick profoundly affected me in terms of what could be the future of, or a future of cinema, an immersive art form, where the director has to consciously decide to allow the audience to participate and be present in this situation.
I almost forgot. In order to successfully bring Biff back to our time period, it is necessary to accelerate up to 88 miles per hour and bump.
One of the most exciting opportunities I had as a filmmaker was the Back to the Future ride, which was completely unique in the sense that it was only 4 minutes long. It was extremely intense, kinesthetically intense. You're in a DeLorean car, like a flight simulator, being propelled into the movie. You're actually becoming a part of the movie. The shocking thing to me was that it was never reviewed or considered by the film industry as a leap of cinematic potential. It was just dismissed as a theme park attraction, and no one ever really wanted to know how I did it or why we did it or how we went around making camera moves that would create kinesthetic stimulation. And it was kind of disturbing to me to find out that the cinema industry, the movie industry, the television industry really just didn't want to change. Immersion is very much on my mind as a filmmaker because that's what I get excited by and that's what I love to do. And so I've been exploring this for the last 50 years and trying to figure out how do you tell an immersive story? How do you switch the cinematic language to embrace the presence of the audience? That takes a lot of things to pull off. And I finally made some really fundamental discoveries, which is what this whole place is about. Is we're a laboratory where we experiment with actors, with sets, with props, with cameras, with lenses, with screens, with projectors, with microphones. And this is a laboratory of trying to discover the future of cinema, or a future of cinema. I don't want to change the whole industry. I think it's just fine. But if you want to make an immersive experience, the director and the writer have got to think about it differently. It's a different art form. And we're now right at the very beginning of developing a new language, which is immersive, which allows the camera to be present. It allows the audience to be present. So that's what I've been developing here, is this process of 3D 4K to 120 frames per second, We're shooting on the stage today with cameras that are 1 inch by 1 inch with tiny lenses, and we can project that on this really wide, deeply curved screen and get an incredibly immersive experience. What I'm trying to do is bring this technology to the movie industry and get other directors to look at it, think about it, see if they like it, experiment with it. And so exploring the language of storytelling as it relates to immersion is the key to the kingdom of the future of entertainment, is understanding how to create the same drama or even better drama than any director has ever written or photographed. Circle around these guys. And once we get coordinated with whoever's running that rig and whoever's doing the panning and tilting, we'll just keep rehearsing that until we get it smooth. I like the social experience of movies, where a lot of people can see something simultaneously and all laugh together, all cry together, all talk to each other and be in the room together. There's energy in a room full of people. It's now time to make the next step, which is 5 times the frame rate, 4 times the resolution, and at least 2 or 3 times the brightness of 3D. I personally believe that a lot of the excitement and enthusiasm about virtual reality is related to a kind of personal, individual desire for immersive experience, something that goes beyond television and beyond movies. So that's why I call it experience making, as different from storytelling.